know what time it is, so let's get started. Okay, and 3, 2, 1, go. Yeah. Welcome to the Racing Show. And we are your hosts, Harry, Richard, and our special guest, Ernesto Gainza, joining us live. So, can you hear us?
Absolutely, yeah, we're good.
Yeah. It's a very special interview here today with the world's best skydiving, wingsuit, and Guinness World champion himself. Yeah, so there you go. So very happy to have you here, and thanks very much for coming.
Thank you so much for having me, guys, and for the opportunity. I'm excited to be 12 hours behind.
Yes. So and thanks very much for all the good people tuning in in the future. Thank you. Yes. So what would you like to ask first, Richard? Well, I guess maybe just talk about how you got into skydiving, my man.
So it was actually by mistake. So I was in Venezuela visiting family, and I had a couple of friends that were skydiving instructors, and I said, I had like $400-500 left, and I said, I'm gonna spend that money into skydiving. I'm gonna finally do it. And I went to the skydiving school, and they didn't have tandem rigs to actually do tandems, and they said the only thing we can do is AFF, accelerated free fall. And I said, what is that? And they said, well, basically it's one instructor holding you from one side and the other one from the other side, and that's it. You free fall with your own parachute and blah blah blah. I said, well, okay, I'm gonna do that. And I did it. The first jump, I was really terrified. My instructors were great, they gave me a lot of confidence. But once I entered free fall, and the parachute opened, I realized this is what I want to do for a living, and it changed my life because I came from a low background, and basically the law stopped right there, and I became a professional skydiver with time. That I realized that this was my passion, and that's what I wanted to do the rest of my life. Yeah. What's that?
That was the changing moment. That was the defining
it was
right?
Actually the landing, cool. I was terrified after I landed and I was safe on the ground. I said, okay, this is what I want to
do. Oh, well, it's like anything exciting, isn't it? It's just overwhelming, right? There's a lot of feeling.
It is.
A lot of adrenaline's pumping through the system. Here's a question. Was it what we call the Superman moment? Like for us, it's like when we're doing sports and stuff, or anything extreme. It doesn't happen too often. It's maybe like 1 or 2%, maybe in a year, maybe, or even 3 years. It's everything slows down and your mind goes super, super quick. So it feels like slow motion for like 30 seconds. And you can just do anything you want. Was that kind of like what it felt like for you?
I would say the second jump was like that. The first one, I think I was too frightened to have a Superman moment.
Nice.
But the second jump, because I knew what I was facing, it was actually a little bit easier. And
nice.
but a little bit more scary at the beginning as well, because I knew what I was gonna face,
sure.
But now you get it, especially when you do special projects and things are a little bit dangerous. You do get the Superman moment more often, I would say.
What would you call it? That's what we call it, the Superman moment.
I think I'm fine with the name, the Superman moment. Let's keep it that way.
It's probably in my lifetime. It's probably only happened maybe 3 or 4 times, and it's a defiant moment in time, right? It's a sequence that you never forget.
I hope you're not going to say, "Well, I was in the toilet."
No. These all extreme sport type events,
absolutely, yes, you do get them, and I think you learn how to appreciate that feeling, the feeling of living, because I think people sometimes don't really understand why we do what we do. It's not because I'm adrenaline lover, I just love my passion is a passion,
No,
and I do love a little bit of course, danger and adrenaline is something that we all love a little bit.
That's always, but it's like doing anything cool, like it's like driving a cool car or something. It's still dangerous in its own right.
It is.
But it's still cool at the same time.
Absolutely. It depends also where you drive. If you drive in India, you require a little bit more of skills.
That's right. Local knowledge, right?
Yeah.
No, it's cool. Yeah. What other question would you like to ask? Well, since we're talking about the wingsuit, how do you? What is that? A little pre-glimpse. That's the project
Nice.
that we're awarded in. Just to get
Wow.
your thoughts on it.
It looks amazing. You can see the inlets there. Let me see what else you have. Wow, nice. So you have a pitch change on the tail as well.
Yeah. Just it
Nice.
just works like an elevator.
Awesome.
And we've got the Aarons up here. Aarons on the
Perfect.
arms, and it's got a
Amazing.
camera. The FPV.
It's looking good. It's looking. I really would love to try it. Huh?
Yeah, it would be cool. It's going to be a great maiden flight. Yeah, stunt.
Nice.
It might go directly into the ground, or it might be, and then you might have to rebuild it. But it's it all can be rebuilt, all can be fixed, and all can be repaired. Yeah, for sure.
Looking forward to see it flying.
Yeah. Me too. But yeah, that'll be a good one. But it's all 3D printed and all sewed up on the machine. So yeah.
Perfect. So you print it yourself. You perfect.
Yeah, wow. We're in this head.
Perfect. Amazing.
Yeah. So that's an interesting one. And a couple of little questions on that. How do you actually fly a real wingsuit? I know on this particular one it has the it effectively flies like a glider, so it's got your roll and it's got your elevator. Is it something similar to that kind of thing, or?
So in our case, it's a little bit different. We don't have the tail. Yes, we can basically move our feet different ways. So we have a little bit of roll movement on that. We can use our arms as well to move roll. We can change the pitch by going a little bit steeper on the fly, but we're very limited. We have to play with basic aerodynamics, which is our body position, our weight, and our height. So, for example, me being a petite person, a small person, I will not have the same glide ratio of somebody of 180 that weighs maybe 75 kilos, right? Because we don't have the thrust, we don't have an engine, we don't have the thrust. So we have to change basically the pitch, remain, in a good body position, so we get the perfect glide and fly comfortably.
Does it when you adjust your hands for tracking? Does that change quite a bit in terms of drag?
So for example, normally when we are tracking, what we call slick, which is not.
Just to explain for other people out there what tracking meant. It's when. Could you explain that for what tracking means?
Sure. So normally I'm gonna try to stand up so you can see a little bit better, right? So basically, tracking is using your body in a position like an arrow to basically deflect the wind in certain ways so you can move forward, right? So you can have that glide. But it also depends what you have. If you're slick, if you're with normal clothing, normally you have a glide ratio of 1:1, so 1 meter horizontal, 1 meter vertical. With a wingsuit, normally, so it's okay. With a wingsuit now, we are achieving tall people is achieving roughly 2.5 meters horizontal to 1 vertical, up to 3. If the guys have a really good performance, they can go 3:1. Yeah, they can go 3:1 as well. Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah.
That's actually quite efficient. That's a lot more efficient than I thought.
Yeah, normally also they're now building tracking suits, which are, you can have free arm movement, because with a wingsuit, you are actually enclosed with chambers, with ribs that pressurize through the inlets. But now most of the manufacturing companies are actually building suits that you have similar surface, but you have the freedom of moving your arms, which allows you to deploy the parachute safer and lower, right? So that's why people are changing a little bit now to tracking suits, tracking suits to have a similar performance, 2.2, 2.3, sometimes 2.5, some people 2.8. But then you don't have that problem of having to move your body symmetrically to grab the pilot chute and do the deployment, right?
Right.
And you can take it a little bit lower, which for base jumping is something that we appreciate, that taking it a little bit down to the basement,
No, that's a lot more efficient than I thought, to be honest. That's really cool. Yeah, I like that.
Yeah.
Because you can fly upside down. I've seen quite a lot of your videos, and you're flying upside down.
Yes. Yeah, no, but no, normally when you're flying upside down, the glide ratio decreases, because
Sure.
you're having to deform your arms a little bit forward, to keep a body
Yeah.
position and fly more with your back and your head down. It's a little bit of a different flight, but you don't have the same flying characteristics as you would have flying belly to earth.
Okay. Here's a question. One time we in Rotorua, New Zealand, which is where we are, we went to it was an indoor skydiving, effectively a blow around.
A wind tunnel, yes.
Yeah,
The
winter.
wind
Sorry, yeah,
tunnel.
right.
Yeah.
Have you practiced in something like that before?
Yes, I'm also an instructor for wind tunnel. I don't do it too
Oh,
much. So basically what I do is I train my students in the wind tunnel, but I don't work for the wind tunnel companies.
right, sure.
Yeah, it's actually very efficient. I think if people have the chance to go on a wind tunnel, the progression is a lot better,
Right,
because you're actually practicing in a stress-free environment, right? And then you
right,
can
yeah,
get out of the tunnel,
yeah,
you can
safely,
watch
yeah,
your video, you can see what is not working good for you. The coach or the instructor will tell you, okay, look, let's modify this. And we work with signals inside the tunnel. So like, for example, straighten your legs or bend your
yeah.
legs or,
Improve on
things
what
like that.
you
Yeah,
worked
yeah.
on. Yeah.
So it is,
Does does
it's a great
does
training tool. Yeah.
does is it does it feel the same as real life? Like obviously the danger factor is not there, but excluding that, is the
Uh,
wind the same?
The feeling in your body, yes, you feel that actually when you free fall, and I'm sure you maybe being in New Zealand, you have done a tandem skydive because I think every New Zealander has done a tandem skydive.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you might know.
Yeah, you have that mattress feeling in your body, right? So you never feel that you're falling. You feel that you're being, like kind of like uh, held by that wind, right?
Yeah, yeah,
And the great thing when in the wind tunnel, you don't have that reference. You're not falling, right? You're floating, so you're static. When you're free falling, you basically what you see is the clouds passing by, and you
yeah,
feel the ground rush if you get
yeah,
close to the ground. So
yeah.
it's a little bit different. It's a little bit different, but definitely the wind tunnel is a great training tool, and it's fun as well. It's fun.
I guess in the drone world, that would be like the difference between like a simulator and
The real thing.
the real thing. Like the simulator,
Pretty much. Pretty much.
simulators are good to a point, but it doesn't have any. You basically have to sort of
Relearn it.
Yeah, relearn. Like we did quite a lot of training on the simulator, different simulators
Years
out
ago.
there, years and
Mhm.
years ago.
Okay.
With our remotes that we have, and but
Sure.
when you go to the
What do you
real
have?
world,
Do you have the goggles on, or like?
oh yes, goggles on and all that.
Sure, yeah.
Perfect.
But it's not
FPV
the FPV goggles and all that. But it's not the same. Like wind gusts and just random things happen in real
Sure.
life.
Sure.
You could never simulate that. With
Yeah.
the technology, not yet anyway.
No.
Exactly.
I
Right.
don't think.
And also we spent a lot of our time like maybe like 1 meter off the ground. And then for us the learning curve was, like say going like 150 or something kilometers an hour, but only like a meter
Yeah.
off the ground. And then you go up to like, I don't know, say 120 meters AGL, and you're like,
Mhm.
wow, this is really different. I got no reference
For
points.
sure. For sure.
Well,
For sure.
Now
Pretty much
it's
the
fun
same.
because we practice it, but it's because we spent so long like a meter off the ground.
Go max out.
Pretty much the same.
Yeah,
Yeah.
same sort of thing.
Same kind of a change, really, isn't it? Oh, we do have another question for you. What was it like to do the smallest parachute Guinness World Record jump
Successfully.
Well,
successfully? Because you're still here, so it's successful.
yeah. It was it was a dream for me for many years, and it took a very long time because I took the safe path. I wanted to downsize, so I was flying a 65 square feet parachute on a regular basis for work and all these things.
Sure.
So we started downsizing from 65 all the way to 55, then 49, then 40, then 39, 37, and 35.
Pretty small.
We did 25 jumps with each canopy, wearing devices, computers, measuring glide ratio, vertical speed, horizontal speed, G forces on opening, G forces doing the turn. And it was very difficult because normally you control parachutes with your toggles, right? And
Yeah.
this thing was so small that basically you just had to turn around a little bit and the
Oh,
thing
wow.
will dive.
Oh wow.
On the exit, you have to remain really steady because if you would maybe
Yeah.
put your hip a little bit asymmetrically, then that's it. It will it will spin you around 2 times, and you will reach 6 or 7 G-forces in 3 seconds.
So effectively,
And,
you're operating that knife edge the whole time, right?
Yes, that's correct.
That's pretty cool. That's exciting.
Yeah. So so basically what we did is once we reach certain height, normally 4,500 feet, I will chop that parachute, I will cut it away, and I will open another parachute that I had to land
Nice.
safely. Then we'll basically check all the data, see
Yeah.
all the points compared to the video. We'll sync it and realize, okay, here's the glide for how many seconds I have glide. What happens if I keep the toggles, for a very long time? Then the canopy collapses. And that was a difficult thing, the exit. The exit was brutal, for it's such a small surface that inflates really fast.
Yeah. Yeah.
Secondly, basically, taking the decision and say, okay, yeah, I have the data, but as humans, that if things go wrong,
Yeah.
you're gonna pay with your legs or with your life. So for me, it was like, okay, I'm gonna land this thing. In theory, it works, but if I made a mistake of flaring too high, then the canopy will lose pressure, and because it was so tiny as well, although the pitch will change, it will still fall vertically. So if I did it too high, the canopy would collapse and I'll fall from whatever height I was. And if I did it too low, because I had a still vertical descent, then the canopy would not flare on time and I will hit the ground at full speed. So it was a beautiful project. I wouldn't have done it without the support of Skydive Dubai and all the team that I had behind. The people were spot on. And yeah, I mean, it was a beautiful experience. And I think before I retire, I'm gonna go a little bit smaller. That's the plan.
Yeah, nice.
That's the plan. We're planning to go maybe 33 square feet, and if we get some stuff, maybe take it to 30.
Yes.
That's the idea.
Because the size for the people out there that what we're talking about the same size as a bed sheet, right?
Pretty much. That was a 35, So if we go 33, it's going to be the size of a training kite for kids. Pretty much.
Nice.
Yeah.
Got to push the limit. Got to exciting.
You have to. Yeah. Age is a mental thing. So.
Yeah. Well, it's like all the astronauts, like Buzz Aldrin and all the guys, when they push the limits, or test pilots. The safety comes to a point, health and safety, which is always important.
Oh, yes.
But there's a point in time if you want to progress as a human species or in sport, or you have to push the limit.
You have to. I had a really funny story. So I met Joe Kittinger, which was the gentleman that went to the stratosphere, the first person. And I had a chance to talk to him, and I said, what were you thinking? Because you really have to understand what a person was thinking. And he said, look, basically the test was not to go high. They wanted to know if a human could survive jumping from that height. So, and I said, and he volunteered, knowingly that most likely he would lose his life. And obviously he helped Felix later on,
well, they went together, didn't they?
Exactly. So that's the beauty of it, and I am where I am because of all the work people before me. I have the technology, but if it wasn't for them doing all these guinea pig tests, I would not be here. So in a way, we really have to thank the people that's
behind us.
We have to.
Absolutely.
Otherwise, it would be impossible. Yeah.
Well, I guess in the drone world, drones aren't, theoretically, when we started the RC journey, we were like at high school or whatever, and FPV didn't exist or anything like that, so we just did RC planes. That's what we always wanted to do. We always wanted to put a camera on. That was where we wanted to go. We're talking like when we're like 10 years old or something. That's what we wanted to do. We're like, there's nothing else that we want to do. We want to do that. So eventually someone thought of it, came up with the idea, just like you're talking about with history. Pioneers before it, right?
Someone developed it,
Somebody developed it, and now we're back to where we started, which is the big 360 spin, right? This is what you want.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm sure it's the same with exactly the project that you're talking about as well.
Yeah,
no,
that's correct. Yeah.
And I do have a question, because lots of different type of jumps and wingsuit jumps and base jumps. But what is the lowest altitude base jump that you've done or know of? Like, because they jump pretty low, right?
There's people nowadays jumping from ridiculously low heights. I think, 30 meters, and
Oh
some
wow!
people just, yeah, some people just open and basically break, like flare the canopy and land. And the
Wow,
lowest I've done is 65.
well, that's still pretty a lot.
I still have a little bit of common sense,
Yeah,
it was at night. It was 65 at night. And I
I
think that helped me a little bit as well, not to be able to see the ground.
yeah. The
But
first
yeah,
time we
it
ever
was a
saw first time we ever saw a base jump was a triple X with with Vin Diesel and Tony Hawk was in it, and then they jump,
yes,
they
that's
steal the
correct.
car, the red car, and they jump off the bridge.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, that's correct. Yeah.
But do they jump with their Oh, a couple of people said props up says hey to everyone. And do you jump with your drone shoot out, or because that could apply to what we're doing in the little FPV wingsuit that we're doing,
Yeah, so
or
so normally it depends how low you jump. So basically, if you do anything from 100 meters high, basically you can do handheld. You don't have it in your BOC or the pocket. You
okay.
have it in your hand. You can do static line, which is basically you connect your pilot chute, that little parachute that is attached to the main parachute.
Oh, like a drone shoot.
You tie it to a fixed object, and then you jump out. So you have a really quick opening.
Oh, okay.
So it will depend which height you use, and the equipment you use for whatever base jump you're doing. So if you're doing a jump from anything higher than 120, 130 meters, you use a bigger pilot chute, and you can have it in your hands and throw it.
Yeah.
And basically, if you jump in anything, I don't know, 300 meters, you can do 4 or 5 seconds delay, and then get it out of the pocket and throw it. So yeah, it depends what you want, and how you really want to do it.
Okay.
Yeah.
And do you think having like a little drone shoot that pulls it out would be a good idea for this kind of project, you reckon, or
What do you mean
do you,
for
for the little
for which
guy,
project?
for
For
this
this
one,
little guy?
or do you think it
I
should just
think
be?
yeah, I think you should have a little pilot chute to extract that, and maybe otherwise, I mean, the guy's not gonna break his neck. That's a good thing. So even if you have a hard opening, it's not gonna affect anything. But
Yeah.
maybe if you have a camera or something, it could be detached in the opening. Because
No.
basically what we do, we actually fly in horizontal, and what we do is we do a big flare. Okay, so we change the pitch, we slow down, and then at this point we kind of tilt forward a little bit, and then we pitch that little pilot chute that stays behind, and then the opening happens, and you swing forward a little bit. So yeah, I mean, if you want to give it a try, you can give it a try, but I don't think the guy's gonna suffer from neck injuries if he doesn't have any pilot chute. So
Yeah.
you're fine.
Oh, that's interesting.
Nice,
Okay.
nice.
Yeah, that's kind of cool. No, it's good to know because it's an interesting one with the base jumping kind of stuff. Is pretty cool. That's exciting.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's a lot of people now. I think social media is brought up a lot of, because in my time, basically, we didn't have cameras. Like, I
No,
started back in 2003, so a GoPro was not existing. We have
no,
really big, like, how you
yeah.
call it, mini
Retro.
DV, and big stuff.
Yeah.
And they were very expensive, and for a person to buy a camera, that
Oh, it's a
big,
big
it
deal.
was just, yeah,
Absolutely.
it was
Yeah.
not
We used
realistic.
to
Yeah,
be-
now with 300-400 euros or dollars or whatever, you can get
Yeah.
an amazing camera recording 8K 360. Things
Yeah.
have
Oh, we
evolved a
used to
lot.
rock around
So
with a palm camera.
was that
That's
you're
a
building your own
big
camera?
beast as you walk around. That was
Awesome.
awesome. Yeah. No, it's just what was offered at the time, but yeah, it was a huge investment at the time for sure.
For sure, for
Yeah.
sure. Yeah, many
That's
other
good.
things. I got to ask a question the other day. People, it's like, do you think people are more talented now? And I say no. The
No,
thing
no.
is, before we didn't have the exposure that people have now. You have social media, you have all these amazing cameras that allows you to record more things. In our time, like even before my time, people could not expose the things that they were doing, and they were always being crazy people doing crazy stuff. So it's just we didn't have the means to buy proper equipment and to expose what we were doing.
I agree. I agree with that. We've got a chat question here. Someone says, have you ever seen the other fly around things, like for example, like the jetpack or the water jet?
Yeah, so when I was in Dubai, I had the chance to work with Jetman, which was one of the biggest projects that I worked with. I was not flying, but I was part of the ground crew a couple
Sure.
of times, and it was amazing. They were flying close to the Airbus 380 in very close formation, and
Cool. Very
yeah,
cool.
it was a beautiful project. Unfortunately, it got canceled due to one of the guys passing. Um, they had some problems with the equipment, and yeah, he passed away, and the project got canceled. With a fixed wing.
Sure.
But there's a lot of new technology being developed as we speak. Like jetpacks on the arms and military stuff that we're not aware of. And
Gravity. Gravity and whatnot.
yes, that's correct.
Mr. Browning's grandson, I think it is.
That's
Yeah,
it.
that's kind of
Yeah.
big project. But yeah, no, it's good that they're making stuff all the time and pushing it forward.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think, look, now with the artificial intelligence, the things that are going to be created, it's going to be really, really amazing. You can see already things being created, and we're not really pushing that much. But I think when people start developing new technology, it's going to be amazing. Scary as well. But I think it's going to be
Terminator
amazing as
scary
well.
or
Yeah, I mean, imagine, like for example, Dubai is using now drones as taxis and things like these, like so there are many things that are coming our way that maybe we're not really prepared. And I think when in a way, when you make things, computer wise, and you still have the human factor. If everything was, computer, great, but if you have a human maybe doing some stuff, there's always the chance of, problems. So it has to be or all humans or all computers. If it's mixed, I think we're gonna have a little bit of a problem.
Interesting. There used to be a TV program, like an animated, like little cartoon characters. It was when we were little. It was called the Jetsons, and they were all about the future. I always thought that was
Yes,
kind of cool.
I remember that. I remember that.
Yeah.
I think we have a question there. Let me
Yeah, we
see
do.
If you could fly around any place on Earth, where would you go?
Oof, it's a difficult question, guys. World is so beautiful. There's so many beautiful places. I had the chance to jump in 48 countries, and I have to say that everything has something special.
Yeah.
I've been in New Zealand, in Auckland, doing some jumps. I've been in Venezuela, in the Caribbean.
Yeah.
I've been in Slovenia. I've been in Spain. I mean, I think every place has something magical. And saying
It'd be
that
hard to
one
choose.
specific, yeah, it would be really hard, I think. And that's why we as skydivers, we also change location all the time. We're trying to find the place that we like the most, but there is always something that takes us back to all the places we've been to.
Yeah.
No.
I don't know, I'm sorry I cannot answer your questions, but
So
I think
I guess it would be just each one would be its own moment.
Yeah.
yeah,
It'd be
exactly,
special in its own way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
exactly.
Yeah.
If you
We
think
have here
about that,
humans take more risks than machines many times. Absolutely, we do. Even though machines are better at taking
Taking
risks,
risks.
that's correct.
Yeah.
That's correct. That's correct. We always have the little mentality of let me try to push a little bit more, and yeah, sometimes things work, sometimes things don't work that well.
Well, I guess machines are man-made, right? So we design them.
Yeah.
so
Well,
originally it comes from a human.
at the time, for the time being, and now with AI,
Yeah. Interesting one. It's an interesting time to be a human, I suppose.
It is, and one of the things that I also do a little bit of public speaking, talking about fear, obviously with all the experiences that I've been through.
Sure.
And one of the things that we're facing right now is the dehumanizing of human race. Everybody's spending a lot of time in their phones. Everybody's spending a lot of time in social media, and we kind of lost that connection to each other. And it's something that I wish we understand that we're wasting our life a little bit. Spending so much time in our phones and not appreciating the beauty of what we have. And I really hope things change a little bit as well.
Well, it is quite a skill set, isn't it, to have a conversation with someone in general, or like we're doing now, or in real life, or whatever the equivalent there is. But it is quite a skill set, face to face. It's a dying art.
It is, and it's becoming a little bit more difficult. As one of the things I face on a daily basis is in South America, where I'm from, in Venezuela, we will always say good morning, regardless of whether we know the person or not. And
Yeah,
and
of course,
sometimes you get the person, you say good morning, and they look at you like, what?
Yeah.
But it's because we're getting away from that.
Yeah.
And that's something that I wish we'll go back to the old way of acknowledging that there is another human being, and maybe a smile can change that person's day.
Yeah.
It's yeah.
No, you always try and say, hey, how you going, or something like that.
Yeah, or smile like you're saying, or
Yeah.
yeah. We always try and do our best. I'm sure most of the population would do their best. It's just there's always one or two, right? Outliers.
For sure. There's always a grumpy guy. There's always a grumpy guy or lady.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or as they say in the conversation world, as a conversationalist, what you do is you get them. You can never win someone over, but what you do is you go from grumpy guy to normal to happy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So they say. Oh,
got another couple of questions here.
USA says hi. Hey, dude, nice having you join us again. And Yusuf says, yeah, as a people, the internet is still new and the psychology around it is still young. It has to grow into a more balance and entanglement to have better stability and socially.
Yes. Yeah,
I agree
absolutely. Absolutely. And these are the things that, we really have to try to go back to, and this is trainable. This is trainable.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, we're living, I was speaking to my mother the other day, and I said, Mama, the life is not the same as you remember it. We have mobile phones, we have to check emails on the phones, we have WhatsApp, we have social media, and our brains are used to that high speed all the time. And sometimes it's not that you don't want to acknowledge the person that is passing by, it's that you're so focusing what you're doing in trying to finish a task that maybe you kind of ignore that.
Yeah.
And I really wish that there's a little bit more of psychology involved in that. Because
I guess that's the reason why we started this channel, to share with people. Otherwise you're at the flying field, or go out flying, doing skydiving, or
skydiving. Yeah, that's the thing, sometimes, look, before I used to take my phone just in case something happened, in case I landed off, used to call someone, but now I don't do it anymore. I could be on the phone all the time filming, but I don't do it because sometimes I want to be looking through the window and enjoying the view.
Enjoying the moment.
Which you don't do with the phone. You're filming all the time, but you're not really looking, you're not enjoying the
It's a certain mindset, right, when you're filming.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I agree.
Yeah. But what you need is a personal cameraman to follow you around, and then he can worry about all that.
I've got one.
Yeah, that would be amazing. Well, I can train you guys. Let's go on the wind tunnel course, and off we go.
Yeah, sounds good. Let's do it.
Absolutely.
And speaking about films, what is your favorite film?
Oof, difficult to tell.
His own one.
Your
down
own one.
to earth, right?
Down to earth.
I would say, believe it or not, Men of Honor.
Okay.
I don't know if
Nice.
I think as an immigrant, I've been through a lot of struggles.
Yeah.
And when you have somebody with so much determination and so much push, for life and for self-improvement.
Yeah.
I think I feel not, of course, I mean, I cannot compare to the things that he went through, but like you kind of appreciate a little bit more. And it's a true story, it's not a Hollywood made film, it's a guy that, he always believed in what his father taught him. He always believed that he could do it, and he did it like a champ, so that I think that's one of my favorite movies. I have many, but I think that is
it's a good choice.
Yeah.
That's a good
What's
one.
your favorite movie? Richard, what's your favorite movie?
That's a bit like your question about the world. So many countries. There's so many. Yeah.
So you put me on the spotlight, but you cannot give me an answer.
Yeah. So I guess my short circuit would be our little kids one.
And we were talking about karate earlier before the live stream, because that's what we used to do. We still do karate. So in terms of the we'll just go genre, right? So in terms of the, because I can't say overall, so we'll just say at this moment in time for this genre, it would be a Jackie Chan film, like Rush Hour or something like that.
Amazing.
Or actually specifically, Jackie Chan's First Strike would be that one.
Perfect.
That'd be our. just because it's classic Jackie Chan, and he goes to Australia in that one.
He's in Australia.
Yeah.
Is it?
Yeah, that one is. You just said, yeah, you appreciate the story of the trials and the discipline that was learned from the experience. You gain a piece of it. Absolutely.
Yeah,
I agree.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah. It's a, you know, it's a funny thing because at the beginning people was talking about motivation, you know, and yeah, motivation lasts maybe an hour, you know,
Yeah.
but if you don't have discipline,
Yeah.
you know, you don't move forward.
Drive.
It is difficult, yeah, that discipline of
Will.
waking up early in the morning and do your things, you know, and stick to a routine, no matter how tired you are, no matter how
Yeah.
How you feel?
cold it is outside, you know, like, yeah, motivation fades and discipline and perseverance stays there all the time. So yeah, absolutely.
Okay. Oh, absolutely. You also asked another question. What's the highest you've ever jumped? Like, have you done like a halo or something?
Yes,
Like
so I did a 29,000 feet jump in Nepal.
nice.
We're doing some training for a company that develops military stuff.
Nice.
And I also train a couple of special forces from different countries.
Sure.
So we do
They always
a lot
train
of
with
technical,
that makes sense.
tactical stuff as well.
Yeah.
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 So
They
I would
always
say
bring in
civilian wise was 29,000 feet, military wise a little bit higher.
yeah. Well, they always bring a specialist to help them get to be as good as they are.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So
Makes
he
sense.
says here, what is your number one method for having discipline to deal with fear, courage, and keep going forward?
That's a great question.
Well, it's actually a very good question. I have like any person, I have rituals, uh, routines. One of the things I have here on my wrist, I don't know if you can read it here.
Yeah.
Oh yeah,
It's
yeah,
that,
yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
It says these two will pass. So whenever I am in a, you know, in a situation that I feel lazy, in a situation that I feel sad and I don't want to push forward. So basically what I do is I remind myself of all the things that I've been through. And I always say to myself, you can never give up. You know, there's people worse in worse situations than you. There is
Absolutely.
people that doesn't have mobility. There is people that are suffering from a terminal
Something.
disease. There is people like, so the moment you feel grateful with who you are and what you have, you're always going to try to find that discipline to be better. You know, it's always easy to say, well, I don't really want to do this, you know, I feel lazy, but
Yeah.
you have to build a routine. You know, it says, you know, psychology says that it takes 21 days to build a habit, right? So if you
Okay.
stick to that 21 days with a habit, after that it becomes a normal thing in your life. So that's what I do. I push myself for 21 days, you know, whether it's training, whether it's something new. And then after that, it just becomes completely natural and normal. Yeah.
Yeah, that's a
That
great
sounds
answer.
well answered.
Yeah, I couldn't
Yeah.
really add anything to that. Yeah, that's good. Yeah, it's always one of those things like like we always were told you get up in the morning and you do your best that day, and then you go to sleep, and the next day I'll do better the next day.
Yeah, I always
Better
I always
than
say this. I always say this to people. You know, I've never competed to. I mean, with someone else. You know, I am my competition. You know,
Yeah.
I always strive to be better than who I was yesterday, and that is something that it helps you. You know, it helps you to keep that temporary motivation. And then, you know, sometimes you speak to yourself and you say, hey, you lazy bastard, you know, get out, get out of bed and, you know, do your things. Because
Yeah.
listen, sometimes it's difficult. Sometimes I travel a lot, you know, and it's not easy. It's not an easy life. You know, I sometimes I go, you know, from Europe to South America and then from there back, you know, carrying a lot of equipment and sleeping, you know, in chairs in airports and things like this.
Yeah.
So
Well,
it's yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
Sometimes I do push-ups in the airport as well. I've done that. You
No.
know, people go, "Who?"
Yeah,
You
no,
have
you
to.
should.
You have
Well,
to.
our very limited experience of living to going to
around the world,
which is just in Melbourne for 48 hours. We didn't sleep at all. We were working
the day
like,
before.
the night before. Drove all night
Mhm.
to Auckland, got on the plane, kept going, came
Yes.
all the way back, and then eventually went to sleep, and everything was amazing. It was great.
Yeah, the problem is also when, you know, like you guys are relatively close, right? But when you go 8 or,
Oh,
or 9
yeah.
hours
Yeah,
behind,
absolutely.
then you can't sleep. It takes normally per each day is about 2 hours that you regain. So it's a little bit complicated, yeah. But yeah, you get used to it. You get used to it.
Yeah. Do you ever get the thing that sometimes I do with different things? I have what they call like when you're building a project or working on something, that I have like a sometimes when it's really intense project that you're building, it sort of does a what I call sort of combat sleep, where you go
Mhm.
to sleep for a little bit and then you wake up and you think about it and then you go back to sleep. So it's not like a
Yes.
consecutive sleep. Only a certain
Yes.
time.
Yes. It happens. Every time you have that your brain is not at ease, it's going to happen.
Yeah.
So what I normally do is I use relaxation techniques. So normally I use breathing techniques. I
Right.
also use magnesium, which helps a lot, for
Oh, yeah, sure.
athletes
Yeah.
to keep really good muscle flexibility and health. But it also helps you sleep. Um, and I think,
Absolutely.
once you start doing the sleeping exercises, which is, I normally breathe in through my nose for 4 seconds, then I hold it for 7 seconds, and I exhale for 8 seconds. And
Yeah.
if you do that 5 or 6 times, your heartbeat lowers a lot. And then basically what I do sometimes is to start counting from 100 to 0.
Oh, yeah.
And it works.
Right.
It works. It works. Sometimes when I'm traveling, to different time zones, I do have to, use, pills, not chemical sleeping pills, but
Yeah.
anything natural. I'm not really a good friend of chemicals.
Yeah.
So I try to keep, as healthy as I can.
He
Yeah.
also says, do you find relaxing and sleeping can sometimes help you find the answer to your problems?
Actually, yes. So we need to have a good sleep. Like we have a production of a hormone between 12 o'clock and 3 o'clock at night, right? Depending
Okay.
where you are. So basically, you start producing serotonin at night on that time, and also melatonin. So if you're awake on this period of time, you will not able to concentrate the following day. So
No.
sleep is number one key when you're doing a project. You have
Yeah.
to try to use the techniques to go to bed as soon as possible and put at least 8 hours of sleep. To me,
Yeah.
that is a must. You have to when you're doing projects or things that require a lot of mental focus and attention. Yeah.
Earlier, I think yesterday, me and Harry were talking about uh, people doing extreme events, like you were talking about. It's like there's certain accounts where people use entire amount of energy in one moment to say do something heroic, like lift up a car from like like
Yes.
say a car was gonna
Hmm.
crush someone or something like that. They or jump over a fence that they'd never
Hmm.
normally be able to jump over. Have you ever experienced anything like that, or you probably did when you jumped from the small
Yeah, I
thing?
mean, I think it depends how physical it is. For example, if you
Mm,
have a guy that is a heavy lifter, it's a lot of self-taught. Is
mm,
is technique and self-talk and training. So there's a very famous saying: a man that thinks that can do something is right. So is a man that thinks that can do something.
sure.
So if you program your brain and you believe that you can do it and you believe in yourself and you push forward, you're gonna do it. But if you think already, oh, maybe I'm not gonna be able to do it, absolutely you're gonna fail because
Uh,
our brain is the most powerful thing we have. So we have to
yeah,
learn how to use it and how to program it to be successful and to do all these amazing feats. Yeah.
yeah, I'd agree with that. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Yozel says, have you experienced the glow moment? I think that's what we're talking about. Yes. Yeah. Yeah. I
Yes.
think earlier we called it the Superman moment.
Yes, I have. I have experienced it a couple of times. But it doesn't happen to me very often, to be honest.
No,
Um,
it very rarely
not
happens.
not too often. I've experienced it in a couple of base jumps, really flying close to the terrain,
Yeah.
which I don't do anymore. I stopped doing proximity flying because I lost a lot of friends,
Yeah,
and
makes
I realized that at the end of the day, it's not worth it. Like when you're going through a hole, when you're going too close to the terrain. I mean, yes, it's a lot of adrenaline, it's a lot of satisfaction, but at the end of the day, your life is worth a lot more than that. You know, you
Yeah.
can also enjoy with a, 20, 30 meters away from the terrain. You can still see it passing by really close, but I think maybe that comes also with a little bit of age. If I was 25, maybe I would be doing it, but right now I value my life and I take calculated risks.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
for
It's,
example, I don't do low base jumps anymore. I try to do
no.
everything from the mountain with a wingsuit. I want to keep living to do more.
Yeah. But it
It's
also
not to
it's one of
push it.
those. It's one of those things too. You've done that. You've ticked that box. Yeah.
Yes, that's correct. That's correct.
Yeah. I was thinking of the film Point Break or the
Mhm.
second one. They did
Yes.
quite a lot of wingsuit base jumping in that.
Yes.
They did something
Yes.
like 45 base jumps.
I think they did
Wingsuit jumps, wingsuit.
a little bit more. Yeah, I know the guys that filmed the
Oh,
stunt
right.
specialists. And great bunch of guys, very talented. And yeah, they did they did amazing stuff. In one of the jumps, something happened, and one of the guys got really close
Yeah.
to the terrain.
Yeah, really.
That was not done on purpose. That was actually him flying on the burble and the turbulence
Yeah.
of the guy in
But there's
front.
lots of turbulence around the mountains and stuff.
Yes, exactly. And sometimes you have thermals, you have things pushing you up and things pushing you down. So you really
That's true.
your brain has to be so focused on for these jumps that I don't think for me it's worth it anymore. For the guys that do this, I feel a lot of respect, and I would never criticize, but I think for me it's not the way to go, at least for me. Yeah.
Makes sense. Yeah. What do you think of Tom Cruise's jump in when he came off the in Dead Reckoning Mission Impossible,
Yes.
and he goes it was on a motorbike, I think, a dirt bike, and then he goes up, and then he does the free fall jump
Yeah.
off that. What was your take on
Yeah.
that?
I actually know the guy that was working with him,
Nice.
the director of photography, and he did a lot of takes. The thing with Tom is that he does all the stunts himself. He doesn't like to use a stunt
Sure.
specialist. He tried to do everything.
Yeah.
It was great. It was great, but that has been done already many years ago,
Sure.
many times. So
Yeah.
yeah, I mean, he has, of course, as an actor, he has a lot of, I would say, um, credit, but
Yeah.
it has been done before, and to be honest, is something that it looks great on the screen, but as a stunt itself is not a lot. It's just
Yeah.
jumping on the bike at a certain angle, and then after that you deploy the parachute, then you have a static line attached to the bike, and that opens another parachute that the bike doesn't crash on the ground.
Yeah. We're
Before that
fine.
was done, in desert type of environments where the bike will just get destroyed and nobody cares. But now
I think
I think
even Evil Knievel did something similar.
yes, that's correct. That's correct. So it's been done before. But of course, he deserved the credit because as an actor, and he could hire somebody to do it, and he chooses to do all his stunts, like Jackie Chan. He doesn't use any double. So yeah,
No,
yeah.
it's true. He also says a question. He says a very nice compliment. He says, "You seem like somebody who's been on the hero's journey, become the hero himself, and have now come back to a mentor of the others on their journeys." So thank you. He says.
Yeah, I mean,
What is it?
thank you so much. I've been a psychologist for 22 years. I've seen so many different people from different background, and I always try to understand people. I always try to make them push forward in life.
Yeah,
And I think that is something that when you've been through so many things and special projects, you try to help people. I mean, if you're not selfish person, if you're a selfish person, you will never share your mistakes, and that's something that is very easy to share your achievements. It's not easy to share your
that's true.
mistakes. And I think you have to, if you really want to contribute towards the sport and contribute towards humankind, like people in the past did, you have to learn
Absolutely.
how to share your mistakes and how to train other people based on their personalities as well. Because I cannot train you, Richard, the same way. We all think a little bit different,
Absolutely.
and that is a beautiful thing about my profession. And I get to meet so many different people. I'm also an examiner, so I train skydivers to become skydiving instructors. And I also still do AFF jumps. I still jump with real
No.
students. I enjoy it a lot. I enjoy to see, you know, the fear in their faces, and then give them, yeah, but not in a bad way, just because
No,
it
yeah, of course
reminds me,
not.
it reminds me of me, you
Or,
know, the
or
first
what
jumps,
happened
and I
at
was
your
like,
experience,
yeah, that was me, you know, and so I grab
Yeah,
their hands
yeah.
and do,
I
you
know
know,
the
we do
feeling.
a little breathing, and you know, and you see how they relax a little bit,
Yeah.
and so yeah, it's a beautiful experience, I
Appreciation,
think.
right?
Exactly, exactly.
Yeah.
And you know, the funny thing or the great thing is as well, when you have someone that you train that becomes better than you.
Mm.
I have a
Yeah,
couple of
yeah, I
people
feel
a couple of people that are trained that are now Red Bull athletes, you know, and doing things, and I feel so much joy. I feel part of their journey.
Yeah. Yeah.
Even if they don't feel, you know, that I'm part of the journey, I do feel it. You know, I'm grateful
Right.
for seeing that person, you know, succeed and becoming a great athlete.
Yeah.
I think you know, I contribute with a little bit of yeah, of positivity or whatever I could
Influence. Yeah.
contribute. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
No,
No,
well,
it's good.
and also I'm sure we've already said before, but yeah, thanks for contributing on this one with us.
Thank you guys for having me. Yeah.
Yeah. What do you reckon, Richard? Is there any other questions that you'd like to ask? Is there anybody else out there that has any other questions that you'd like to ask Ernesto?
I think people are partying right now.
Yeah.
It's Thursday night.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, thanks very much. Lots of people will be tuning in later on. That's I'm sure. Just grab our sip.
Perfect.
And once again, thank you very much for
Thank you guys.
joining our live stream today and checking out the little wingsuit man. And
Looking forward to
yes,
seeing flying. You have to send me videos, please.
we
Yeah,
will, we
will
will.
do.
And there'll be another episode coming out next week on Tuesday if you want to tune in for that.
About the wingsuit.
About the wingsuit. And is there any particular event coming up that we can see you at, or another project that we can?
So I have two big projects happening this year. Unfortunately, due to contract obligations, I cannot share any information. But I
we
have
can say so.
once they're done, I'll make sure I
Yeah.
share everything with you guys so we can
What we can say is stay tuned.
absolutely stay tuned.
Yeah, no,
Thank
it
you
should
so
be
much,
good.
guys.
Yeah, thank you kindly, and thanks very much for joining the live stream. This has been a great informative and exciting interview with you, my friend. And
Hopefully, we can do something in the future again.
Absolutely, it would be a pleasure, guys. It would be a pleasure. Maybe I'll stop by New Zealand soon.
you're always welcome.
Thank you.
Okay, well, we'll sign out. And thanks so much once again, everyone. Okay, so I'm Harry.
And I'm Richard, and this is Ernesto. Thanks very much, and we'll see
Thank
each
you, guys.
other on the next one. And 3, 2, 1, go! See you guys. See you next week.
And
See you guys.
see you next week.